Welcome to Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Blake Lovell. We are here for SEC football reaction. A few games in the books today. We've got Alabama has just knocked off Vanderbilt going away. Florida, I believe, has upset Texas. We had Georgia, Kentucky earlier in the day. Like a interesting day of football in the SEC. A lot of twists and turns we didn't see coming so far. By the way, the SEC is not the only place where that happened.
Yeah, we appreciate all you guys hopping in. We're going to get into all of it here on this particular show. As always, we are presented by FanDuel. And boy, you had some bets over at our friends at FanDuel today. You may be a big winner. You may not be, depending on if you went all in on UCLA, money line against Penn State. Congratulations. If you went the same with Florida over Texas, that number was not as big. And we'll get to that game shortly. I see Sam Smith comparing me to Arch Manning in the chat. 9-time champion agrees. So we'll see if we ban YouTube by the end of the show. But nonetheless, we will set a super chat goal before we get started here, Chris. We're going to do a 5 super chat goal. So if you guys want to get in your super chats, you can do that here on this show today. And so, we will celebrate by celebrating if you give us 5 super chats. So wild day to get things started off. Florida upsets Texas, maybe saves Billy Napier's job. Alabama defeats Vanderbilt in the game that was obviously closer than the score indicated. And then Oklahoma's going to put out a dominant performance here, almost over. 44-0 looks like it's going to be the final against Kent State.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for the nice words. I think a lot of you noticed I wasn't here this week. My mom passed away this week, so was busy with that. So thank you guys for the kind words. Rough week here, but was something I've been expecting for a while. Never easy, but mom lived a great life, and we're certainly going to miss her. Blake, I guess let's go to the first thing. I thought Alabama looked really good. It looked like Vanderbilt was going to maybe take control of that game late in the first half. Vanderbilt was gashing Alabama on the lines of scrimmage. And then a couple of huge turnovers by Diego Pavia, one inside the 5 and another inside the 10, really cost Vanderbilt. I think Alabama, the second half, I don't know what defensive adjustments the Crimson Tide made, but I thought they really, really did a phenomenal job on Vanderbilt's offense. Not a whole lot open for Diego Pavia and the Commodores. And I thought a team that we and other people criticize for not being physical enough early in the season in that loss to Florida State came out and just pounded people on the lines of scrimmage with that offensive line. Alabama's rushing stats were not super impressive, but with Ty Simpson early in the game kind of getting whatever he wanted to in the passing, I thought Jam Miller and Alabama really got a lot of chunks. Bama just held on to the ball and got 5 and 6 yards of play time after time because I just thought it wore Vanderbilt down. And that was, I think, the story for Alabama. Really, that was, I thought, a pretty complete performance across the board. Now, not always. First half, defense wasn't so good. Vanderbilt really gashed Alabama on lines of scrimmage. But I did think that Alabama eventually answered the bell in kind of dominant fashion in the second half.
Well, yeah, and like I said, I did say the score was maybe not as close as indicated there, just with that final one that was tacked on. But I mean, again, it was one where obviously, you're getting down to the final stretch. You're feeling like maybe Vanderbilt has an opportunity to do something because, as you said, I mean, they got off to a good start, but the defense for Alabama just really turned it up, and Pavia was just trying to make plays as a quarterback like him will try to do. But, I mean, I think if you would have kind of looked at it and been like, all right, Vanderbilt's going to turn the ball over a couple times, what's their chances? You're probably not going to like it, just based on the fact that, we had sort of talked about that as one of the key parts of this game going into it. And so to have a couple, turnovers, they always swing the momentum a little bit, no matter the setting, and felt that way here in this particular game. And, I think, too, on the other side, to me, and I feel like we brought this up throughout the weeks since really after Florida State, when everyone was done with Alabama and that was it. But we've always said, like, hey, I don't know that Ty Simpson's getting enough credit for what he's done this season. And, I think, again, he was kind of a big story here for me. I know he had an interception and all that, but still, I mean, just some of the throws he made, it obviously helps when you have a Ryan Williams out there, that one big play. It all runs together for me in terms of
Yeah.
us trying to watch multiple games, but you know the one I'm talking about, and it's just, yeah. I mean, I thought that was a big story here too. I mean, Ty Simpson finishes 340 through the air, and yeah, just the second half that was Alabama at every turn finding a way to sort of stop Vanderbilt. And again, a pretty competitive game for the most part, but yeah, it really was Alabama just making more plays in that final 30 minutes. So.
Does Ty Simpson leave the day as your Heisman leader? I guess Oregon didn't play today, right?
No, let me look at the current odds over at our
Okay.
friends at FanDuel. Yeah, I mean Dante Moore was still plus 500. He was Ty Simpson plus 700. Now, I don't know if that's been
Yeah.
updated or not. I think that's about right. So yeah, I mean I would say he's going to be right there in the top two or three, right, by the end of the day, no matter
Yeah.
who does what anywhere else. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, if you didn't watch that game, Blake, he was almost flawless. He throws a pick on the first possession of the game. And from that point on, and it wasn't just the completions, right? Vanderbilt got a lot of pressure on him at times, and he would just scramble. Like one play he made, I think it only went for 6 or 8 yards, but there was a play where they had 3 or 4 guys bearing down on him. He gets flush right, and a linebacker comes up to try to be among a group of people to knock him out of bounds. He vacates his guy. Simpson, in a half second, realizes what happens, makes a throw for a first down, and that kept the clock moving, which is really where Alabama won the game. It was time of possession. It was doing to Vanderbilt what Vanderbilt has done to teams, at least did to teams last year, not as much this year, which is just hold the ball and gas you. And I mean, he just made play after play like that. He made one really bad throw today. That was the pick in the first half. From that point on, you know, and they didn't throw it as much in the second half because they again, they could line up and run it. But I just thought he was terrific.
yeah. I mean, if you look again, the final numbers, and I'll give this to you guys. Some of you guys may have been watching other games. I'm guessing you probably had your eyes on this one, nonetheless. But yeah, I mean, Alabama finishes with 486 total yards, 37-23 in terms of the time of possession. Vanderbilt had it for 22 minutes, 37 seconds. And yeah, I mean, you talked about it. Like, you know, Ty Simpson, 23 of 31. Alabama winds up rushing it 38 times for 146. Like you said, they kind of could do that more, certainly with the way the game was playing out in the second half. And so, yeah, I mean, and I, you know, the storyline coming in was the two quarterbacks, and that was going to get the most attention outside of just the fact that, you know, Vanderbilt won last year, and this was a revenge game for Alabama, and I thought the Commodores got off to a good start. I mean, you'll certainly, I think, take having a 14-14 game going into halftime. And look, like I said, I mean, the game is what? Alabama kicks the field goal with 4 minutes left, and I mean, it's 20-14 at that point. So, I mean, again, like Vanderbilt had opportunities here, and that's where I think, you know, if you are a Vanderbilt fan, probably a little bit of frustration knowing that you really were right there, even though it felt like Alabama was controlling some things there in the second half. But you're right there with a chance when that game's 20-14, more than halfway through the fourth quarter. But yeah, Pavia's final numbers 21-35, 198, a touchdown, interception, the lost fumble too, adds to that. But yeah, it's one where I know, again, just kind of given what this Vanderbilt this Vanderbilt team looks like, and I think we're going to talk about the path forward for both of these teams, but I'm not ready to just, you know, look at this final score. Someone out there may say, all right, well, it's just, come on, it was bound to be this way. But I think if you actually watch the whole thing, and I know Justin talks about it, just was not pleased with the performance, but I don't know. I'd still be a little optimistic about the Commodores, I think, coming out of this.
Hey, the best news if you're Vanderbilt today is James Franklin wasn't your head coach.
So, man, that guy.
I had to get that in. No, seriously. I don't think, I mean, they played pretty well the first half. I mean, lessons, okay. I think the secondary we thought could be an issue for them. It was. I think maybe if you're Diego Pavia, don't run your mouth. I don't think that helped. I mean, Alabama played pretty well anyway, but don't give somebody a little extra motivation. I just didn't think they played. You had a lot of drop passes today. The defense could not get stops. without sending pressure. I thought there was some weaknesses exposed there for Vanderbilt today, but at the same time, Alabama was my preseason pick to win the national title. And if you erase the Florida State game, I don't know a lot of reason I would like if I didn't know that game had been played, which I guess is a dumb statement because of course it was, but it feels like that Florida State game was a long time ago. That looks like a team to me that could win it all.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think it was just such a unique circumstance after week one because we were just not used to seeing Alabama in that setting.
Yeah.
But if you could look beyond that and maybe give some credit to Florida State, which I know not people just simply were not willing to do, it was all about Alabama. And then it's like you get to this point in the season, all right, Florida State got upset, and all of a sudden, well, Florida State's terrible, right? It's just, I don't think you can play that game necessarily, but it was Alabama. They shouldn't lose a game like that because we are used to seeing them win all those kind of games where you go on the road, you beat what, yes, may be an improved team, but it didn't mean Alabama sucked. And yet that was the storyline that people wanted to run with because we haven't been able to say that in a long time. And so, yes, this is clearly a team that's talented enough to get to the playoff, have a chance to win a national championship. There's no question about it. But to me, if you look at the way this game played out in the second half, and it's why I will bring it back to Vanderbilt for a second. I guess that's the thing, right? It shows you a couple things. How Vanderbilt fans now expect to win these kind of games. Because, you see the success they've had. And now it's like, yes, you're sitting there, as I said. I mean, Alabama kicked the field goal. I've got it right here. 4:08 to go to make it 23-14. So it's 20-14, less than 5 minutes to go in Tuscaloosa. And that's where, and you mentioned kind of the time of possession and long drives. That 16 play, 69 yards, 8 minutes and 29 seconds to get to that field goal. That pretty much makes it, it makes it a 2-possession game at that point, and then you're just pressing to try to figure out anything in that final couple minutes to see if you can have a chance, right? So, yeah. I mean, again, but that's Vanderbilt fans are like, hey, that may be something where it's like that's not good enough, for us right now because we see what we've accomplished, and just saying, oh man, you would take only being down 6 points, less than a full touchdown, right? At Alabama with 5 minutes to go. No, we're pissed off because we think we could have played better. And I think that's what you're going to get for Vanderbilt coming out of this. And like I said, I think that shows you the change in the mindset of where the program is at right now. And so a disappointing loss, no question, but I still think there are things you can gather from this and feel like, my goodness, play the comparison game to a couple years ago and you're feeling okay still, I think.
I think the best thing that can happen for them is what they've got. That's a week off before they come back home, because they've got some things I would like to know. I don't know what I'm not your X's and O's guy. I would like to know what was it that Alabama did schematically to stop them, because the runs that were there the first half were not there the second half. I think some of the passing game is probably on Vanderbilt. Pavi and the receivers just did not play well. There were drops. There were a couple of balls that he should not have thrown that he did. There was a lost fumble. So I think if you're Vanderbilt, as good as Alabama is, and I think Alabama played like a national title contender today, so nobody clipped this and used part of it. But if you're Vanderbilt, you're going, okay, there were many things that we are capable of doing better that we did not do well today. Just simple things.
Yeah. Justin asked, too, this regards to my comment, is it more of a change in fan expectations or team performance? I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, right, Chris?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they played so well, they had the fan base believing they could win the game.
Yeah. So I think they just kind of go hand in hand to me. But again, let's talk about the upcoming schedules. 9-time champion. Since Blake is trying to be rational to increase the Alabama viewership. I'm not trying to do that at all. If it does, great. But I'm just giving you my opinion. But so if we look at it ahead for Alabama, and I'm going to give you two. Let me see if FanDuel has the updated odds here. Well, that's right. They don't have them set right now. They will after today.
Missouri next week.
Yeah, and we'll look at the updated college football playoff numbers too, but we don't have those right now, so we'll probably have to talk about those on Monday. Vanderbilt had a very interesting number going into this game. I'm curious to see where it goes after this. But yes, Alabama at Missouri next week. And remember, Missouri's coming off a bye. So Missouri's had a week off to prepare for this game. And so that's up next. Then the Vols of Tennessee coming up the week after that. And that one is in Tuscaloosa. They're at South Carolina, still have LSU and Oklahoma at home. So really, if you think about it, Chris, like that's a pretty crucial game next week in Columbia for the Crimson Tide, because after that, I mean, if you're looking at their remaining schedule, and I know the Iron Bowl is the Iron Bowl, they're at Auburn, anything can happen, but 3 toughest games left are all there in Tuscaloosa. So,
Yeah. I mean, they got one more loss to play with. 10-2 is going to get them in. I mean, and 10-2 might get them in the SEC title game because one of those is out of conference.
Well, speaking of scheduling, Vanderbilt, meanwhile, like you said, I think it certainly comes at the right time in terms of being able to have the week off. But then it's like you get an LSU team who I think we've all gone back and forth on in terms of maybe what the expectations are for LSU moving forward. You get Missouri at home, so both those 2 games in Nashville. You have to go to Texas, and boy, we're going to talk in a second about that game.
Yes.
You want to talk about Heisman odds and how that's completely flipped in terms of which quarterback is going to be way higher there. And then, you still got to go to Tennessee. So it's like Vanderbilt's got the 1 loss right now. And, even if you win your home games, which are going to be LSU, Missouri, Auburn, Kentucky, they're probably favored, I would say, Chris, and they're going to be favored. They should be favored in at least 2 of those, I would think. Could be favored home against Missouri. Maybe LSU. Who knows, right? Like, who knows? We're not sure. It depends on how things play out. But those 2 road games, at Texas, at Tennessee, and I think that's the thing when you're talking about Vanderbilt, is that can we sit here and look at this schedule with the way this team is built this year and say, just not doable, right? I don't think there's a single game on here. And we would have said maybe Texas at one point. But again, we're going to talk about that in a second. Absolutely not. Just based on the fact that there's no way I think you can trust Texas right now. So
I think 9-3 or 10-2 is still on the table for them, depending on how do they look like. Did Alabama figure something out today that other teams can copy and paste to really slow them down, which nobody had all year until today? Or was that just, again, a look in the mirror and, hey, we could have executed better if you're Vanderbilt?
Yep. So we'll see. That's where things stand for these. And I know Tony's saying that there's no chance Vanderbilt would be favored against Missouri at home. I disagree, Tony. I think they could be. Yeah. It just depends on what happens. Now, listen, if Missouri beats Alabama next week. Yeah, I mean, if Missouri beats Alabama next week, then I think, certainly that may not be the case. But depending on how these next couple of weeks go, I think there is certainly a scenario where it's possible. Remember, let's not forget Vanderbilt's ranked 16th in the country. Missouri was ranked 19th this week. So, technically, the home team and all there, I think it could be the case. But we'll find out. Like I said, we'll talk a lot about Alabama and Missouri. For sure, that will be one of the bigger games next week, and what is a pretty nice slate coming up there in Week 7. So, any additional thoughts, Chris, you have before we give a shout-out to our fine sponsors here to kind of wrap up this Alabama-Vanderbilt discussion?
No, just looking ahead quickly, I guess this is all I've got. LSU's got to bye this week. Or excuse me. No, what does LSU have? Because that's Vanderbilt's next game. Okay, LSU has a bye this week, and then Vanderbilt has a bye next week. So both teams will have a week off. I'm very interested to see that game in Nashville. And you mentioned Alabama's schedule. I think Alabama, again, to me, feels like a team that just has figured a whole lot of stuff out. I think my biggest concern for Alabama maybe is stopping the run, because you saw them get gashed in the first half. You've seen that happen once. But other than that, this is a team that, to me, especially with getting the running game together in the second half, feels like it has figured a lot of stuff out.
All right. Yeah. By the way, LSU is going to get South Carolina too in Baton Rouge before they come to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. So that's how it'll set up there. All right. Do a little reset here. You guys see there as you're watching. you can leave a super chat. We've got a 5 super chat goal here for this particular stream. You can leave $1 if you want to, just to show your appreciation for the channel and or ask any question, comments you have, and we will discuss it here on the show. And by the way, too, speaking of that, Chris, did you know YouTube has made a nice little addition? You can now sign up for our It Just Means More tier, the membership, via the mobile device. Sam Smith, you laughed at me for all these years about saying, come on, it's got to be easier than this. It wasn't, but now it is. You can sign up for our membership tier on your mobile device. So find it there, and you can become a member. You can also buy some cups over at GameTime Sidekicks because they are, as we say, the best of the best when it comes to their high quality, officially licensed stainless steel drinkware. All the SEC schools, over 350 more universities as well. Everything from stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, shaker cups, SE16 for a 20% discount to our viewers. SE16 over at GameTimeSidekicks.com. Also, we keep telling you about the HOF app. And unfortunately, Chris, we did make some upgrades to the presentation here. The HOF logo is not going to come all the way across the screen anymore. It's just going to be right there in the corner. So you have to see our faces for this particular read. The HOF app, as you know, smart bettors rely on data. They give you all the powerful analytics at your fingertips to tilt the odds in your favor. Improve your chances of winning using that historical data, matchup grades, trends, player performance insights, created by Ivy League sports geeks to let everyday fans bet smarter. And remember, we keep telling you, good stuff. And by the way, I'm seeing some of your super chats right now. Some of you guys think you're funny. Don't worry. We're going to get to you in just a second. But the HOF app, we keep telling you, for limited time only, our listeners, viewers, not only get a 7-day free trial, you also get 50% off your first month when you use the code SE16 at checkout. They got a great app. I downloaded that thing. It's beautiful. Download the HOF app on iOS or Android. Enter the code SE16. SE16. Remember that. That's for that and Game Time. And you're all set with our friends over there. All right. Some of you getting a little cute in the chat. I can tell when it comes to some of our super chats here. But Justin, $2 super chat. I will not allow this slander, Justin. I'm not even going to say what it says, all right? I said I'll read your super chats, but I'm not reading this one. I'll put it on the screen if anybody wants to see it, but that's okay. Justin's our longest-running member here. Sometimes he can do what he wants. Other times, I'm not allowing it. So 9-time champion, $2 super chat, talking about Chris's Kansas State shirt here. Chris, I'm going to assume that's not a Kansas State shirt. It
is not Kansas State. It's my kids.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That's what I figured.
Where they're going to high school, or one of them's going to high school.
That's what I figured. So,
yep.
All right. 2 super chats down. I'll tell you who else is down. The Texas Longhorns.
Ooh.
Because, my goodness, man. Yeah, I think this was one. Tell me your thoughts on this. If Texas had won this game, let's say by double digits, was Billy Napier going to get fired this weekend?
Somebody asked me that, and I called a not so fast because I thought Florida coming off an off week. In fact, someone asked me, like, give me a possible upset in the SEC this week. And I said, well, Vandy would be my number 1 pick. And I said, don't count up Florida because Texas has just not moved the ball. Manning's been awful. And Florida, we saw what happened a year ago. And they've got talent. The defense had been really good. And Florida just came out today and dominated from the jump. I mean, did you see the stats at half, Blake? Total offense was Florida had almost 200 yards more of offense than did Texas at half.
Well, let's talk about this. Yeah, you guys just came through. We just met our 5 super chat goal here. Let's quickly get to that. Justin, again, yes, the whole Mark Sanchez thing. That sounds like just a bizarre deal there. $2 super chat. Yeah, he's calling the game tomorrow between the Colts and the Raiders. He's supposed to.
Maybe not now.
What a story. Well, no, there's no way now. But yeah, so that's just a bizarre story. When I saw that today, I was like, what in the world? $2 super chat as well from 9-time champion. Chris doesn't even claim Kansas State anymore. Yeah, he's just completely abandoned
fair weather fan
of Manhattan.
It's like I never knew them.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. So $5 super chat, hotty toddy. Great games today. Yeah, listen, Chris, I know you weren't on the power rankings this week. Though, the Ole Miss Rebels, for the first time ever in the history of Southeastern 16, number 1 in our football power rankings. So we'll see if they stay there after this week. They've done nothing wrong. Why should they not? So We'll see though. We'll see. There was a little bit of, not everyone. It wasn't unanimous. So we'll see if somebody decides maybe to, Alabama gets more votes. And don't get us into that voting system. You guys were not happy with us last week with our voting system.
No.
But Florida fans could be happy this week. Texas maybe not, because yes, Florida wins 29-21 in Gainesville, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what else you say here. Like, Texas is 3-2. Florida's going to be the story that they should be in terms of pulling off this upset. But man, I know, like we were saying, it was one of those things where it's like, hey, Texas's defense is good enough to just go win them games, and that just maybe what fuels them to, let's say, the playoff. Although I think a lot of people were lowering the expectations of them being one of the favorites to win the whole thing. But now to be sitting here at 3-2, your offense is just, I mean, 341 yards of total offense. What'd you say the number was at halftime? I don't remember. If you're a Texas fan,
Texas was under 100 and Florida was over 250.
Yeah. So, and Florida finishes with 457 in terms of their total yards. DJ Lagway, 21 of 28, 2 touchdowns, and he did have an interception in this one. But I think, I mean, the story, like I said, should be great win for Florida. But let's be honest, like when you're a top 10 team in Texas, you've lost 2 games now, and it's not even the fact that you've lost 2 games. The Ohio State one, it is what it is, but like it's just the performance, Chris, at this point. And I don't know what you say moving forward for the Longhorns here.
I mean, if you're Texas, you felt good one day about your offense, and that was Sam Houston, for whatever that was worth, when Arch Manning flexed on one of their players after a touchdown. I mean, they couldn't run the ball today. Fell in a hole. Yeah, I mean, Texas, at this point, I think one more loss and you can take them out of the playoff, I think. I mean, there's talk of 9-3 SEC, but I don't know that there's enough good wins in here for them. I mean, well, maybe not. You could bank potentially. Well, I guess if they go 9-3, it would be interesting. Because the teams that you could beat would include Oklahoma, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Texas A&M. Any of those would be good wins. But for them to only lose one of those feels like a lot to ask right now.
By the way, I was looking at this comment here from 9-time champion. I think just the combination of sentences I saw together, I was just smirking because I'm like, it says, my Mexican restaurant is full. 80 patrons in here, hungry after an ultimate Frisbee tournament. Answers prayers in weird ways. See y'all. Like, that's just, I don't know why. I was just like, the combination of the two. You got 80 people coming in after the ultimate Frisbee tournament. Maybe some Gators fans hopping in too. They're excited. They want to celebrate with a little meal, perhaps.
Can we order out from 9-time champion? Would he do that? Would he do that?
I think he should cater. I think he should cater the live celebration event we're going to do at some point, maybe.
That's what we do, 9-time. Let us know. We'll live stream in your thing one day.
I think so. All right. Hey, let's play this game with Texas real quick. And don't worry, Florida. We're going to get to you in a second. Let's play this game with Texas. You talked about, are they going to make the playoff? Let's say one more loss, whatever. Like, let's just play hypothetical here. Underdog or favorite, Chris? Give me your answer. Underdog or favorite against Oklahoma next week?
Ooh. I think underdog.
They're underdog. I don't care who's playing quarterback. They're the underdog. Because you can have the same questions for Texas. So, and we'll talk about Oklahoma before we hop off the stream. Not a lot to note, but we will mention them. At Kentucky, underdog or favorite?
Favorite, but man, that could be an 8-5 kind of game.
Nowhere near as much as we thought it would be. I think they're going to be the favorite. At Mississippi State.
Ooh. Right now, they're favored.
They are, but that number could be interesting. We'll see what Mississippi State does tonight against A&M. Home against Vanderbilt.
They'll be favored, but I don't know that I'll pick it.
At Georgia. We know that one.
Dog.
Home against Arkansas. We know that one.
Favored. And
then home against A&M. I mean, that's a long way away. Anything can happen, but right now, if you put those two teams on a neutral field, A&M's favored by a touchdown,
field goal,
maybe. I don't know.
Touchdown, field goal.
I'd go a little bit higher than a field goal, but see, that's the thing. So, I mean, if you put those odds together in terms of can they really run the table here? I mean, that's not even. I can imagine like Texas fans are probably just sitting here like, we're not even thinking about that right now. We're trying to figure out what do we do coming out of this. And so, yeah, I don't know. But I mean, meanwhile for Florida, I mean, yeah, hey, credit DJ Lagway. Like, came back with a really good performance here. Um, and I think, look, that's what we say this time of year, right? And I'll play the compare and contrast game, Chris, because we always say if there's a coach that feels like they're right there, their job security one way or the other. I mean, we kind of seen it now in back-to-back seasons, right? I mean, Florida's not just quit on Billy Napier. Um, whereas, man, that Arkansas situation didn't look pretty against Notre Dame. But it's like, I mean, credit Florida. Credit they bounce back here. We know how tough their schedule is. And they come back after losing back-to-back games against top 5 teams. And, pretty one-sided game at Miami. And then they come back and now do this. So, I mean, I would say, like, maybe this is the launching pad for Florida, but, like, man, the schedule the rest of the way, again, we've talked about it. You still got games at Texas A&M, home against Mississippi State, much improved Bulldogs team there. Of course, you got Georgia, at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State. It's just still a brutal schedule for the Gators, but credit to them for a nice bounce-back performance here, and credit to Billy Napier, even though I'm not going to credit him for whatever in the world he was doing at the end of the game there that allowed Texas to have like an extra, 40 seconds or something when they had no timeouts. But nonetheless, that's that.
Well, let's look at what was different for Florida today. It had Dallas Wilson back today for the first time. He catches 6 for $111 and 2 scores. And one complaint is they hadn't run Jaden Ball enough. Well, and I think some of this was game flow today with the lead. He gets it 27 times. I think he had 22 carries all season coming in. Goes for $107 and a score. Those are two things, if you're Florida, are extremely encouraging for an offense that just has been, I mean, bad doesn't even describe it. They've been awful.
Yeah, I mean, scored 16 against South Florida, 10 against LSU, 7 against Miami, and now to bounce back, like that. And so, yeah, I mean, if, like we said, if you're sitting here at 1-4, let's say they would have lost this game, your only wins against Long Island. I mean, before you go to A&M, like it would have been interesting to see what would have happened. But not going to happen because, again, this is the kind of win that could jumpstart your season even with a really, really tough schedule. But like you said, maybe get a couple guys back in the rhythm offensively, focus on those guys a little bit more, and maybe good things happen here for the Gators the rest of the way. So, so I think great win for Florida. I know this Texas team is not what we thought it was, but still, it's a great win for Florida just because they needed any sort of positive momentum in their favor. So,
well, to tie Florida and Vanderbilt together and LSU, what did Florida have last week? It had a bye week after getting, not being that competitive against Miami. Looked like a different team. I'm very interested to see Vanderbilt and LSU in 2 weeks when both teams have a bye week. They're just different weeks. I wonder for LSU, like, you've got to take some encouragement for that going, okay, our quarterback struggled. There's a lot of thought that he might be hurt. He had 2 weeks to sit and figure some stuff out and looked like a different guy today. I wonder if Garrett Nussmeier ends up the same way.
Yeah. No, we'll see. Good stuff from the Gators, and I would be fascinated, and there will be plenty, I'm sure, we can look at on social media message boards for what Texas fans think right now. I may actually just take a peek right now, just see what I see over there is the first comment. You know, it always works. You go to one, and the first comment that pops up. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Let's hear it.
You want to just play the game like, all right, let's just play the game of like first comment you see. All right. 15 effing rushing yards with running backs is the first comment I see at the top of this thing. So, or the first title of the thread. It's the first one. And then the second one says zero awareness, by the way. So I would probably give you 2 guesses as to who that's referring to, But yeah,
But by the way, to the Oracle, I was not saying Diego Pavi was hurt. I was talking
yeah,
about how does Vanderbilt bounce back, and it is does LSU follow a familiar script that Florida did, because the speculation
yeah,
has been that Nussmeier is not 100%. Thank you, William.
yeah.
You're always very kind. It is good to be back.
All right. Yeah, let's talk about Oklahoma here real quick. And remember, guys, get your comments, super chats, all that stuff in, and we will get to those. I think we've gotten to all of those. So, oh yeah, Justin, by the way, also sending thoughts and prayers Chris's way with a $2 super chat. Sorry for missed that one a few minutes ago, Justin. But we do appreciate you contributing as always. And yeah, let's do some quick thoughts on Oklahoma, Chris. And yeah, so Oklahoma's going to get the win. What it wound up being 44-0 was the final,
Yes.
I believe. So, I think, and we had a debate this week on the power rankings about Oklahoma. I think Jay had them at 1, and we were kind of playing the game of what do you do with Oklahoma knowing that you're, Heisman potential quarterback or whatever, one of the top ones in the race is out for now. Like, right, what do you do with them? And I think one of the commenters had said, you can't really penalize them yet. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, by the way, Chris, you just reminded me. I forgot we didn't do a stream earlier. We got to talk about Georgia, Kentucky. Let's just quickly do. Usually we do 3 streams in a day. Today we're only doing 2, so I forgot we didn't even get to Georgia and Kentucky. But let's quickly touch on Oklahoma. One of the commenters said that he's like, you can't penalize a team for what hasn't happened yet. And so even if we think that Oklahoma is not going to be as strong without Mateer right now, you're right. I think they made a good point. Like, you can't penalize them just yet. And so 44-0 went over a Kent State team that, let's just call it what it is. What was the spread 45 here? So it winds up being 44.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, I think that was kind of yeah. They just come off a 66-10 loss at Florida State. So I mean, is there really much to note here other than the fact that, I mean, Hawkins' numbers, if you want to kind of look into that, but again, I mean, it's an opponent that, you should have beaten the way they beat them. They didn't even score in the fourth quarter, by the way. It was 44-0 at the end of the third. 14-24, 162, 3 touchdowns for Hawkins. Also had a rushing touchdown as well. I think a 27-yard run included in that. So anything we take away for Oklahoma?
No, I mean, the defense continues to dominate. Kent State is one of the 2 worst teams in the country. I might be a little concerned that you had 355 yards of total offense. That feels like one Oklahoma with your talent.
Yeah.
You can get 600 in your sleep. We have seen Michael Hawkins play decently well before. That also might be a, hey, and I didn't see any of it, right, because of the other games on. That could have been a, hey, let's not show any cards. Let's just get out with the win, keep everybody healthy. I can't really give you much comment on that because I didn't see it. I'm sure Oklahoma fans, if you're here and you want to chime in and let us know on that one, our apologies. We try to watch teams, but let's be clear. There was zero drama that Oklahoma was going to win this game, even with you and I are quarterbacking Oklahoma. They're beating Kent State. So there just wasn't much for me to watch or take away.
I watched a decent chunk of it. I didn't watch the entire game start to finish, just with the multi-view deal. But, I mean, Oklahoma's defense as usual. I mean, that was kind of the story here. I mean, Kent State had 7 first downs in this game, 135 total yards. They had, it just was, 33 rushing attempts for 17 yards, which I'm sure some of that is going to factor in. A couple turnovers. And so, I mean, that was the story. But like I said, for this kind of scenario, I don't know how much I'm just going to look at this from Hawkins' standpoint and be like, all right, it's this way or that way, because you're playing a team that, again, is just very undermatched. So overmatched, that is, not undermatched, Chris. Thank you.
Now, here's the line from the game story. I think this is by the AP. It is. Where did it go? Oklahoma receiver Keontez Lewis was carted off the field in the first quarter after going headfirst into a brick wall.
So I've got that update, by the way. I did pull that up on Twitter once we got here. So there was an update on Twitter saying that it was a very scary situation. But there's an update on Twitter saying he was up walking around in the training room doing well, and that there was another update, I think, like in an abundance of caution, he's been sent off site for more evaluation. So it seemed like, any of those situations are obviously always scary, but sounds like positive update there
Good.
for him. So, and of course, as we talked about, Oklahoma will get Texas next week, and that'll be your afternoon game on ABC, in a game that's going to have plenty of storylines heading into that one, again, with the quarterback situation for both teams, and Texas coming off the loss at Florida. But all right, now let's quickly recap Georgia and Kentucky. And again, my apologies to both those fan bases. I'm used to the trio of live streams we do on Saturdays, but completely forgot we had not already done that one. Georgia 35-14 win, Chris. In this one, I mean, this was pretty much just all Georgia. I don't know that there was ever a point in this game where I felt like Kentucky was going to threaten them. It was 21-7 at halftime, but then Georgia, reeled off a couple more touchdowns in the third, 35-7 going into the fourth quarter. And I think, Kentucky, they scored that final touchdown with a couple under 2 minutes left. So all dogs in this one in Athens.
Yeah, I think the story today is this is a game where Georgia could have come out sluggish. It did not. It was up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. Gunnar Stockton scored 2 touchdowns on the ground. I think those were both pretty early as they kind of established. Him running was not something we expected a lot of this year, but he was very efficient passing-wise. And, just kind of a business-like performance from Georgia. They jumped up on Kentucky. You never felt like Kentucky was any threat, other than maybe late before half where Kentucky had a chance to score, I think, and didn't. Maybe make 21-7 into 21-14 instead, and then you get the ball to start the second half. Kentucky couldn't cash in. So to me, there were only very short windows where Kentucky had a chance to make it close, and it did not.
Yeah, total yards completely, in Georgia's favor, 425 to 270 for Kentucky. Be curious, what is Kentucky averaging in terms of total yards per game this season? I'm sure I could find it in one of these stat sites, but
I'll find it.
45 yards rushing. Boley goes 25 of 41, couple touchdowns and interception. And Gunnar Stockton 15 to 23, 196. I think had a touchdown also in that one, and also had an interception. So, I just, this was kind of what you expected from Georgia. I mean, brutal spot for Kentucky to play an angry Georgia team. Georgia came out, sort of, controlled things from the outset, and I am not a lot really. I feel like to add other than just if you want to look at it from Georgia's standpoint, and you're kind of mapping out their path to the playoff after the loss to Alabama. They're gonna go to Auburn next weekend, which again we'll see. Another intriguing game on the schedule. I'm telling you, next week's schedule is wild. Then they've got Ole Miss at home, Florida. After that, at Mississippi State, Texas at home, Georgia Tech at home. So if you want to talk about teams' schedule setting up nicely, I mean, I guess you could say, Chris, kind of evening out. You'd like to win both, but the win at Tennessee, kind of evens out the loss at home to Alabama. And so now the rest of the way, your toughest games, at least on paper, are all at home. And that's going to set up pretty well, I think, for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think winning one of those two, which they did, get you a mulligan. And again, watching Alabama today, I mean, Alabama may be the best team in the league. That's what I thought before the season. And so that's not going to get held against you based on the way those look today.
You want I'll give the FanDuel numbers. How about this real quick on that to kind of go with your thought there. Alabama plus 200 to win the SEC championship right now. Georgia plus 550, A&M plus 750. Texas is plus 850, but I'm going to assume maybe that is not updated, or maybe it is, because actually they're behind A&M. It could be, but I don't know, because Oklahoma's plus 950, Missouri plus 1,700. I can see Alabama's odds moving right now towards the good for the Crimson Tide. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Their
not a
their
surprise,
toughest
right?
games, their toughest remaining games, probably their 3 toughest remaining games are all at home.
And it's the same for Georgia. So, like, they both kind of are set up that way, I
Yeah.
think.
I
At
mean,
least
Georgia,
again.
what you were scared with Georgia is that, okay, we dropped one to Alabama. We've got Ole Miss on the schedule. We've got Texas. Well, Texas doesn't look so tough now. And yeah, the Ole Miss game is in Athens, where they never lose except for last time out. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's another, going to the other side of the coin with Kentucky. Like, what,
uh,
I mean, here's the question for you, okay? Their remaining schedule. Texas and Tennessee are both at home. So, we'll see. Got to find more, I think, in the offensive department there. They got to go to Auburn. They get Florida at home, Tennessee Tech, at Vanderbilt, at Louisville. So, I mean, is Mark Stoops still coaching the team by the time they get to Louisville, or how do you see this playing out if things don't turn around?
here's the thing. Can I sidestep that question for just a minute?
Sure, that's what we do here at Southeastern 16. We
Well,
sidestep all the hard questions.
no, I don't think the talent is there. But here's what I do. If I'm Mark Stoops, I go back in practice Monday and I say, look what UCLA did today. Look what Florida did today. Both those teams were dead and buried. Why not us? Because they do have some things defensively.
I mean, they lost by a touchdown to Ole Miss, right?
They have a young quarterback in Cutter Boley who's got some talent. You're right. The Ole Miss game was close. But they didn't look too good today, to be honest, though. But again, it was Georgia. So
They haven't looked good the past 2 games. 35-13 in South Carolina,
but
35-14 in Georgia. But
what's the buyout for Stoops? It's considerable, is it not?
What is it? They were. What is it? Stoops. There's been a big thing here recently. It's like, here, Lexington Herald Leader. Well, never mind. I can't read it because I don't. Well, yeah, I can. Okay. Well, hold on. It's just the way you have to go to these things now. It's like,
right.
You go to some of these sites and I'm like, can I read this? Can I not? Oh yeah, I got to do
for
this.
$9.99 a month. You can.
I don't know what's going on, but all right. So it says here it is from the Lexington Herald Leader. One day after a radio report that he had approached the Kentucky administration about negotiating an exit last year was widely shared on social media. That was a big deal yesterday. Stoops unequivocal about his status. I hate to give anything like that legs. There's zero truth. I told you last year, right? I mean, you guys could write it and say what you want about me, but I mean, I told you there's zero chance I'm walking away. I mean, zero. There's no quit in me. And it kind of goes into the report. In that, let's see. So the $38 million is the buyout if he were fired December 1st, is what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, that's why.
Again, what's true and what's not, I don't know.
Going anywhere
Kentucky
right
fans.
now.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Justin added that in too. Sorry, I just saw that. But yeah, so that's, I don't know, but there you have it.
I'm not as down on Mark Stoops as everyone else is. I know they're in a down period, but he's the guy that built the program to where it was.
Yeah,
it wasn't
Chris,
long ago that they were 8 or 9 wins every year.
Don't you think that whole A&M fiasco, and then coming back from that, and then just the way things have gone, I don't know. I think John Summerall, I just, like, come on.
Yeah.
I think that's
right.
That's where we're trending, I think. But we'll see. Yeah, no, you're not wrong about
how do you make that work though? I mean, this just in, they've got a basketball team they care about a bit and a coach that they like.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is always going to be your priority.
Yeah.
And by the way, for whatever it's worth, that it's not nothing. Baseball gets some of the resources there too, or should. I just think there's a lot of other things going on. I get it, but I mean, if that number was a third of that, then okay. I can see it, but
we may be talking about another buyout if Kentucky beats Texas next week. But
Right.
no, in all seriousness, maybe I'm being serious. Maybe I'm
Hey,
not. I don't
can
know.
we circle back to Texas for a minute?
Sure.
I know Steve Sarkisian has been crowned as the second coming, but I said before the season, I've always felt they've left meat on the bone, even when they win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even last year, nothing, no knock against Arizona State. They had to pull one out of the fire to not get eliminated of that spot in the playoffs. They had a lot more talent than did Arizona State. I'm just wondering. I mean, I know Sarkisian. I know he's done a lot of great things there. Like he's had the program better than it's been in a while. But does he? Is it time to question whether he deserves all the flowers he is getting and has gotten?
There you go. All right. So On3 did a survey. This was a couple months ago. All right. It may have been before the season started. I'm pretty sure it was. Biggest spenders in college football. Number 1, Texas. Now, what portion of that went to Arch? I don't know. I'm sure the number's out there. Number 1 was Texas. 2 was Texas Tech. 3 Ohio State. 4 Oregon. 5 A&M. 5 Miami. So we got a tie. USC and Michigan tied at 7. Tennessee at 9. Auburn at 10. There's another one. So yeah, like if you're the biggest spender, and you're sitting here at 3-2, and like we said, I think have a very interesting game next week against Oklahoma. Whew. And I mean, we're not just talking about a random SEC team.
And you were in a major metropolitan area of what the best state to find football players in the country.
Ooh. Yeah.
I guess. I mean, is it that or California or Florida? I don't know the numbers these days.
Well,
but, I mean.
We know what it means to those people there. And 3-2. And if you go to 3-3 losing to your biggest rival, look out. So that would not be ideal.
Okay, let's paint a disaster scenario here for Texas just for fun.
By the way, J.M. Jones taking it to the AP poll. What are the chances they still have Penn State and Texas over Vandy and Missouri? I don't pay attention to the AP poll. I have no idea.
I don't much either. You lose to Oklahoma. You lose at Mississippi State. You lose at home to Vanderbilt. You lose at Georgia. You lose to A&M. That's 5-7.
Gee, come on. They're not going to do that, are they?
Have you seen them play?
Well, I have. But I don't think that. I think
that's why I brought it up.
I know, but I think eventually the talent that they're going to win some of those games, right? They've got to. So they're going to win some of those.
Well, you would
possibly.
Well, they just had a bye week before Florida too. That makes it even worse in my mind.
Well,
they don't get another bye again for 5 more weeks.
Well, listen,
and in the meantime, you play Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt.
If you are someone out there who says, you know what, I still think Texas is going to turn this thing around, go get your FanDuel National Championship odds right now because they are plus 1,500 at FanDuel. And so take your shot with the Longhorns if you want. They still have the 6th best odds according to FanDuel. Now, I don't know if it's been updated since the Florida game. I can't confirm that or deny it. But if they were to win, let's say next week, they win, those odds are going to go back up. So, like, you want to just take a flyer on the Longhorns, although I may be hesitating to do that. So, all right. Let's get to a couple more things here. By the way, Robert asked the question, I think, why Vanderbilt stopped running the shovel pass. I agree. Like,
I don't know.
It works.
Yeah,
man.
I wasn't crazy about their play calling today, which is one of the few times I've said that since Tim Beck's been their OC. I think the play that killed them, in addition to the turnovers, they had 3rd and about a half yard.
Yep.
And all they had to do, which by the way, that was one of the spots, 3rd and a half yard, they're going out of the pistol, which I know everybody does that, but can somebody not get under center every now?
I hate it. Jay and I went off on that. I think it was this week, honestly. It may have been this week. Just absolutely went off on it about the play calling in those short yardage situations and how ridiculous it is to run a play like that. I mean, just we said, and it's our thing, just go find somebody who knows how to play Madden or EA Sports college football and they will tell you, don't ever run that play. But yet, we do this 50 times a week in college football every single week. I don't understand it. So, all right, let's get to a couple more ad reads, which, by the way, Mississippi State's up early on A&M. Chase is going to join Chris tonight for some thoughts on that and kind of recap the full day. Medal stand. Don't worry, Chris. I won't do medal stand with you right now. We'll save that for later. You know how much I enjoy it, but we'll save it for later. By the way, A&M was what? 14.5, 16.5 point favorite against Mississippi State. You want to talk about me just not understanding how Vegas was looking at certain things?
I didn't get that either.
But we'll see. Long way to go. Mississippi State's up 3-0 in the first quarter, but we'll see if it gets there. All right. Speaking of, nothing. That's a terrible transition because I'm just going to ad reads here. Because I'm going to tell you about one of our newest friends, the Yearly Company. Oh, my. You've seen me wear the hat this week, folks. The Yearly Company, Nashville-based fine jewelry brand built on tradition and designed for meaning. Incredible jewelry, solid 14-karat gold, natural gemstones, made to measure for a perfect fit, backed by a lifetime guarantee. You don't get that at Southeastern 16. You get it at the Yearly Company, though. And so, customers can build their collections, celebrating anniversaries, birthdays, new beginnings, everyday moments. They've got it all. My goodness, incredible stuff. Knowing your size is the most important step before ordering, so all you people out there, all the husbands who want to have the sizes ready now to be closer to the holiday season, you get your shopping in, all that kind of stuff, they're going to give you 100% off. 100%. You know what that means, Chris?
Free.
If you use the code SE16KIT, SE16KIT takes 100% off the sizing kit at checkout with our friends at the Yearly Company. Get that sizing kit. You know exactly what you need to buy. Oh, it's incredible stuff, I've got to say. And you know what, Chris? You didn't hear this week. The Yearly Company is so good that it made Max Barr say, you know what? I need to get a wife. And so that's how good these folks are over at the Yearly Company. Check them out. Again, SE16KIT, 100% off the sizing kit at checkout. You get it absolutely free, complimentary from our friends there. Also, over at ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com. Let's say you just got the 100% sizing kit and you decide, I'm going to pick up my phone and celebrate. I don't even know what that means, but you could do it with the world's strongest magnetic phone case. Extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock secure mounting. September, their busiest month of the year, the new iPhone's coming out and all that. Treat yourself maybe to a new iPhone because you're not paying anything for the Yearly Company sizing kit. Spend it on a nice new iPhone, a little case, accessories and stuff over at ROKFORM. SEC25 for 25% off over at ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com. And then over at HOVI Dry Goods. After you've done all that, put your hat on from our friends at HOVI Dry Goods. Your new favorite hat. Look no further than the HOVI hats for high-quality headwear, a great fit, unique designs, Bad Beat, B-A-D-B-E-A-T. Boy, I'm not going to try to spell that again. For 15% off. Bad Beat, 15% off over at HOVI Dry Goods. Ooh, what a list. What a group that is.
I'm getting asked what someone should get from Taco Bell. Well, let's see. When I order, I usually get a crunchy taco. I like crunchy tacos better than soft. I'm in the minority, but if you want to know my opinion, get that and a couple of bean burritos.
Wow. Well, I did not know what you were going to say. I was not expecting
Did they bring
that.
back the Mexican pizza?
Do they still have the gordita? If they still have the gordita, that'd be my number one option. But if not, I'm going to tell you the quesadillas. I assume they still have those. Steak or chicken. I prefer the steak, but you've got choices there. There you go. So, Holly says, Max is cute as a button. How does he not have a girl? Well, how do we know he doesn't? Maybe he's just putting on a front. And maybe he's already gone to the Yearly Company and put in the SE16 code, SE16 kit. And he's got 100% off heading his way because he's getting ready to buy you know what. We'll find out.
We should do a Find Max Borrow Wife telethon.
Oh, boy.
Kind of show.
Look out. On YouTube?
I don't
know about that. Oh, all right. We better get out of here before we do something we shouldn't do. All right. Chris and Chase will be back here in just a bit. We'll recap the rest of the day, all that good stuff. And remember, check out our friends at FanDuel. All your odds, look aheads to next week. All that will be coming out soon. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we will be back tonight to do medal stand and put a wrap on Texas A&M and Mississippi State. If you're just joining us, we've talked Alabama, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Kentucky, Texas, Florida, and Oklahoma, Kent State. Not in that order. We went, what did we do? We did Vanderbilt, then Florida,
We'll timestamp
then
this thing, 'cause
Oklahoma,
I don't
and
even
then
remember.
Georgia.
I'll
Right.
timestamp this for
Been
you
a
guys.
day.
Don't worry. So,
But yeah, we will back to, I can't speak. We will be back tonight for our evening wrap up.
be
Yes,
back.
Brett. Ty Simpson was very good today. You might see Ty Simpson on the medal stand. You never know. Here's how you know. You tune in. How do you know to tune in? You hit the subscribe button, don't you, Blake Lovell? I can't speak all of a sudden. You leave for a week, and it's like you've left for a month.
It may not be Chris back tonight. We may have to
might
pull him out
not.
to say, you know what, you're out of here, pal. No.
Do you remember the old
Yes.
Sports Center commercial? I think it was Scott Van Pelt, where he just couldn't speak, and they called in relief pitcher.
Come on, it happens sometimes.
Yeah,
as much as we talk. So,
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, watch us tonight. Hit the subscribe button, enable your notifications if you haven't done that, so you can get that. We'll be back then. Thank you guys for all the kind words. Really going to miss my mom. She was beyond special. Just unbelievable. I was very blessed to have her, and I'm going to miss her greatly. But I have great memories and the knowledge that she's with Jesus, and that is where I put my comfort. And so thank you guys for that. Keep my family in your prayers. All right, he's Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. You have been watching Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.